can you have a rich, real morality without having God in the background?
Not only can you, people do. And even more so if there is no God. I mean, if there's a God, there's lots of reasons to be moral. But if there is no God, there's even more reasons to be moral. Because if this is all there is, and we are all that there is to be moral, then how much more important it is that we be kind to one another, that we try to do the right thing, that we try to avoid doing the wrong thing, that we try to get along.
The problem comes is that how do you define each of those categories? What is the right thing? And different people will have sometimes diametrically opposite points of view. So the argument is that morality, even though it's very nice to say as an abstract term, can work without God, unless you have some independent standard for that, suddenly you have differing opinions that conflict.
The independent standard, outside of you and I personally as individuals or us as Americans or whatever, is human nature. That evolution designed us to be moral, and immoral, by the way. That as a social primate species, we evolved the capacity for cooperation, altruism, pro-social behavior within our group, because our group would, you and I would benefit individually, and the group as a whole would benefit as a group compared to other groups if we are moral. Unfortunately, evolution also gave us a dark side. That is, we are very combative and xenophobic about other groups. So we have this nasty side about how we treat people that are different from us. If we can put them into another group, unfortunately, it's easy to do. So we have those two sides. I think that is independent of you and I. It's part of our nature. It's about as objective and outside of us individually as you can get without calling it absolute morality. But it's not a relatively moral position.
Well, take your example. Here's the problem I would have. You have two groups, and you have some competition for a food supply. And without an independent moral standard that would tell them to work together or whatever it would be, that it would be for the morality of the in-group to take care of their own children, to kill the other group so that their children can survive with this food.
Yeah, absolutely. And interjecting religion into this doesn't help us at all. Historically, that's exactly what happens. Look what's happening now between the Arabs and Israelis. You got two guys with a deed to the same piece of land, both willing to die and kill for it. Obviously, believing in God doesn't help that at all. In fact, what we're trying to do is to find some secular means of imposing a higher order rule. Fortunately, I don't think the UN is the solution to that, but that's what's going on there. So I don't think belief in God helps us. In fact, in that instance, it hurts.
Well, what it does is it dramatically escalates the sense of ownership in a literal sense.
Yes.
And therefore gives each one not just the materialistic interest in food or oil or something, but gives one a sense of spiritual absolutism.
Yes.
Which reinforces that the differences between groups.
I think a higher moral principle is to look at the reality of our human nature as I've just described it and say, okay, here's our goal: to get as many people as we can into the in-group. We want to expand the group to include everyone. And this is what we've been doing for the last several hundred years. That now we're going to count blacks in the in-group, and women in the in-group, and people of all religions in the in-group, and we're going to even count gays in the in-group, and so on. We keep expanding the circle to include more and more people. In my more optimistic days, I think that eventually we'll get there, and that all people, and maybe even we'll throw higher primates in there, orangs, chimps, and gorillas, put them in the circle too. And let's not kill them. Let's give them certain rights. And I'm optimistic in the sense that I think we can do it.
Some have said the only way that possibly could happen is if there's an invasion from outer space, so we have another outgroup that will force us all into an in-group.
That may be it, and it could be that the collapse of the global environment, some threat like that, could help unite us. So at the moment, it doesn't look real good that way with all the infighting around the world, but I'm still being optimistic.